Welcome to another Founder Wisdom podcast. We have CJ now with us today. He's a co-founder and CTO at Carvis.ai. He's an ex-Cruise, interesting guy altogether. Has been at Antler. Startup has been in stealth for a while. Now they're out in the open. So CJ, I'm glad to have you on. Tell us a bit more about yourself and what you're up to nowadays.
Hey Charles, great to meet. And then thanks for the introduction. I'm CJ. I'm currently working on a startup called Carvis. These days we are working really hard to work with some enterprise customer that we're dealing with. So essentially some franchise repair shop owners that are purchasing more and more shops across US, and they need more efficiency. So they wanted to use our tool, Carvis, which is essentially an AI agent for repair, to maximize their efficiency. So that car repair, sorry, just to clarify. But happy to
And
jump in
what's
more.
your background? Like, I see some South Korea here. I see
Hmm.
some Japan as well. Like, what's your background? Why were you built the way you are today?
It's a good and long question. So I'm from Korea, so I've been living in Korea for about 18 years. I moved over to US, guess it's been about 10 years ago. So I came here for high school, junior in high school. So that's been about 10 years. But I did spend some time in Japan because I was running a startup in Japan. So during my time in U of M, I joined an early stage startup called Gradient. And then, I started as a software intern, but ended up wanting to taking more roles in the companies. So they started the seed fundraising, and then I was like, okay, I know a few startup folks in Japan, so I wanted to go and fundraise there. So I actually ended up raising 50% of a round. And then, that led to the next level. I was like, okay, yeah, we need a branch in Japan. So our company, Gwydian, we were running a VR research software. So essentially, we were selling to material science, pharmaceuticals like Pfizer or Takeda Pharmaceuticals. So those kind of companies and the research labs in universities. So I was going around in Japan and selling that software. Oh, by the way, I do also speak Japanese, so that helped a little bit. So yeah, that was why I have that experience. I do actually go back and forth Japan and Korea quite often, thanks to being in an automotive. There are a lot of good companies on automotive in Japan and Korea, so that's been helpful.
And what did you do at Cruise specifically? What did you learn from your time there?
Sure. I was I was more of a platform engineer. So essentially, I was writing a automated DevOps sort of work. So essentially, most of our work was Kubernetes and deploying our AI softwares to our vehicles. So essentially building a sort of middle layer between that. And then also optimizing more, we have a lot of AI researchers that needs to deploy their work quickly. And then I was basically automating a lot of those work so that they can just, click button and then they can deploy.
And why decide launching your own company, going from a nice, well-paid software engineering job to launching your own stuff and suffering?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I would say my initial goal of coming to US was actually starting a company. So this was sort of natural. I actually stayed in Cruise because I wanted to get my green card. That was a big thing. But my eyes are always set on doing a startup. So I was actually even working at Cruise. I was working on a lot of side projects. Um, so it was sort of natural. I mean, obviously, jumping up was hard. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's really well paid. It's nice and a very smart, calm colleague. Very very great place to learn. But it was just not a what do you call it? Once you it's sort of a job that once you figure out, right? You don't unless you're like really actively looking to learn something new, you don't. And then I'm a dopamine junkie, so I really want to always learn, do something fun. So that's a big reason.
And why did you stayed in stealth for that long?
Uh, I don't know how long it was written there. It was I guess it was 2 months, huh? That was a lot of I was doing a lot of different projects during that time. First was some finance trying to write a like sort of a finance GPT type. So fine tune some LLM and then for specific financial context, risk calculation and all those. So, and then some other ideas were surfing trainer. So that was, I actually went to YC interview with that, and the final round they were like, why are you doing this? I was like, I don't know, this is fun. So just a lot of exploration during that time, but ended up, okay, I maybe I should look for something that is more, close to my, vertical, which is automotive and maybe AI. And then I was really interested in utilizing Gen AI across the state, like everyone else, I guess, but wanted to do something that is underserved. Everyone's doing dev tools, everyone's doing programming tools and everything, but I wanted to do something more, I guess, hardware or real. So that's what I was doing during the stealth time. But yeah.
And how did you meet your co-founder, Jay? Why are you guys complementary?
Sure. So I met Jay through YC's co-founder matching. He comes more from traditional car maker experience. So he worked at GM and Ford, and so he understands how the car company operates. And then he's also data scientist, so it's actually helpful that he's not pure business guy. I can actually talk technical stuff to him, and then we can actually understand each other more. So it's been a good mix, I think. And he's actually still in Michigan, so that we are making sure that we keep in tap with the automotive companies there. And then I sort of handle Asia and then back and forth and Silicon Valley, and he comes back and forth. So I think we are sort of covering both best of both worlds. And we're tapping into the best talents in Bay Area, while also tapping into automotive traditional companies in East Coast. So that's sort of, I think, is helpful. Yeah.
And why Antler? How was it different from YC in your opinion?
Antler was interesting. I think we went in there a lot earlier, and like we just had an idea that okay, we wanted to use Gen AI for automotive. And then Antler is helpful in that you get to connect with a lot of other founders who necessarily don't have an idea. They call it pre-accelerator. Like it's like basically they just collect all these smart, brilliant people across, and then they are just there. And we could actually, get our ideas out, talk to them, hey, get their feedback or get their specialty. There's people who have a great experience in go-to-market. There are people who have a great experience in engineering. All these like special, what do you call it, specialists coming in. So we could just get their opinion, ideas, get some help from them. So that was really helpful. I think maybe YC it's a little bit more advanced. I know they like pivot all the times, but and then usually people have like clear idea and then they have a clear team, right? But Antler was more flex. People join teams across and then there are more, I guess, communication. So it was I would say it's a different experience. I wouldn't say it's better. It's just different, right? It's more earlier, more casual, more, yeah. It was a good experience for us. And what really helped was after getting into Antler, Jay quit his job, so that was great.
Nice. Yeah, and you
Yeah.
mentioned your vertical, right? Like precisely, if I could share with people what Carvis does, it's an AI car estimation, right, for auto repair shops. And yeah, actually, I sent a couple of those today, or I mean, as a customer, I required a couple of these today. And yeah, some garage quoted me 2x for prices and like probably 3x for service, right? I quoted to this other that would let me buy the parts and have them installed. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
definitely
those
a
are much
problem where
better.
there's a lot of
Hmm.
money to be
Yeah.
made, but it's kind of hard to sell to these garage mechanics, right? Because they're not super tech friendly. They're in their zone of comfort, right? So like, what are the challenge, but also like the opportunities in your field?
Sure, sure. I would say one correction that maybe a lot of people actually don't understand or missing is that actually these garages actually have been using tech tools for I guess, good 40 years, I guess, 30, 40 years.
Mhm.
They're one of the earliest adopters of POS systems because they need this like sort of system. So I guess one example of older tools like Mitchell One, they've been around, I don't know, I think at least 30, 40 years. So we are essentially an additional plugin tools for these POS system we call shop management systems. So shop management systems, it's essentially handled, okay, hey, I have Charles's car. It's let's say Chevy Equinox 2017. This is his VIN number. I've seen this, and then okay, he needs this repair, say timing chain. And so all these informations are stay there. And then, hey, I'm a CJ, I'm a technician. I will perform, okay, I'll remove and replace his timing chain. It's going to cost him $5,000 because of this labor, this parts. So all these information stays in that POS. So what we do there is actually making that information more useful. What we mean by that is, okay, these information is siloed in that shop's location. What we're doing is, okay, hey, I'm a shop A in Bay Area. I'm a shop B in Bay Area. Let's say that, right? And we basically make an AI agent that understands, hey, okay, I've seen Chevy Equinox 2017 that was done on Charles's vehicle from A shop. I'm a B shop, and Charles is actually bringing his vehicle. I can actually see exactly what sort of repair he had to do on like timing chain, so that I don't have to spend 30 to 2 hours to find out, okay, Charles needs this part, I need to do this labor, and then charge you with $5,000. So this process of estimating takes a long time, and there's no guarantee Charles will buy it, right? Like maybe I'll say 5,000 and it might sound ridiculous to you. Sorry. Oh, okay. Give me a second.
Switching rooms.
Yep, switching rooms. Okay, give me a sec. Okay, I should be good now. All right. Okay.
So you were saying?
So yeah, I was saying that essentially the core thing is that switching aspect of, I have this quotes coming in and I have to make sure that that's done, right? And then that takes long time for the shops. And we're making sure that, okay, if somebody in the universe had done this quote before, it can be done. Basically, it should be just like wrapped the right way. That's what we're thinking.
Right. Yeah, and also maybe their geographical information, the prices of competitors in their city and so forth, their margins.
Exactly.
Yeah, because it's a complex logistical business in the end. Garage, they need to order pieces all the time. They need to move cars. It's like Tetris, right?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah, and the price varies according to this. I also saw on your profile that you're a forum member at OpenAI. Like it's pretty interesting, right? Like defining scientifically AGI. What is your definition of AGI?
My definition of AGI is that there is no there's no AGI definition across the industry that is shared across people. I guess my goal is that we should have like set more rigorous definition for AGI. What I mean by that is that usually people just assume it's okay. AGI is essentially a better intelligence for I guess the model that can do better than average human being, but that's a really hard to define thing. Like, what does average human being? Maybe I'm very good at mathematics and really bad at English, right? In that case, maybe AGI can write better paper than I do, but I can actually write better theorem. That's the thing, right? So it's really hard to justify, I guess, general intelligence as a starter. So I guess like I'm just against how AGI is just being like a marketing phrase these days. That's just hard to see. But I think we're at a point where we know what Gen AI can do better than human and what Gen AI is worse than human. So I think it's becoming clear.
And I think it's better, well, at least at virtual tasks and thinking and solving online stuff. I think it's better than 95% of humans at 95% of what they do right now. So arguably, we've reached AGI for sure.
Yeah, I think that might be a loose definition of AGI too, right? Also, and then the problem with the Gen AI is like it doesn't have a notion of understanding. It's not understanding anything, right? It just essentially you can think of it as it's essentially cheating all the time. It has all the information in the world, but it does not understand why the answer is that. So it will always hallucinate it and it will be wrong. So that's why we need experts and humans to basically discern, okay, say parts of this is wrong, right? Like say 100, they wrote 100% of the article. 98% is right, 2% is wrong. That's very likely that's what happens with AGI tools. So in that case, people or some operator needs to be there to correct that 2%. So that's sort of how I see as a human's role. So, these tools are great, but these are tools. They will not be able to replace human, I guess, in that regard. That's
And
sort of how
what
I
is
think. But I mean,
understanding, because science is what we have to
yeah,
understand stuff as human. It's like, okay,
right.
it's predictable, but the likely source of how things happen, even through us
Hmm.
humans, I believe some stuff we think we understand, but in reality we don't. And AGI didn't it or AI and LLMs didn't it achieve what it did through sheer mathematical force and numbers and weights? Is it how it achieved that thing just like by crunching data?
Correct. I would say like, yeah, man, LLM is really just crunching data and then find out how what's off it. What's interesting is though, I think this is something that I find it fascinating is that recently Google DeepMind has released like a research done through, I forgot the name, but they utilize multiple agents and then found out a better form of actually theorem than what human did for matrix multiplication. So what that means is that I think utilizing multiple agents and then operated by scientists, we can actually achieve much better algorithms that people could not find before. So that's actually very fascinating. But the quote is, it was not completely done by the AI. There was no way. Because there needs to be a human that validates, okay, this is the right direction, this is the wrong direction, you have to go this way. So that's sort of how I see the role of human on the Gen AI aspect, and then sort of connects to where our position is as well. We're not claiming we'll be replacing the technician. I think it's going to take at least 50, 60 years. I don't know, maybe longer. What we're doing is essentially the technicians are utilizing our tools to be 100x faster. And maybe that means, we need less technician. I don't know. But what I'm saying is essentially we'll have few good technicians can take over a lot more job than bad, immoral technicians, whatever, right? So that's how I
Right.
see myself in our future, I guess.
I think robotics gonna kick in like strongly in 5 to 10 years from now. And if we define that, let's say that robots in 5 years may be like 5% of the population. In 10, they might be 25% of world population. So I think the
Mhm.
disruption is gonna happen before. But if that happens, would the technician be in charge of a fleet of robot and just supervise their work, make sure it makes sense, and they would be very tech savvy to modify the algorithms of these bots rather than being like a technical physical technician?
Could be. I mean, in 50 years, I think that's reasonable. What I'm saying is seeing in the 5 to 10 years, the issue with the humanoid robot is that like humanoid robot has to utilize humans ecosystem infrastructure. And if you actually ever been like if you're in a garage, you would notice that there are a lot of potholes, there are a lot of empty, like they will not be able to handle it unless it's custom made or the shops. So I think it's much more reasonable approach for the robotics in at least the repair space is actually have a custom made, just like CNC machine, just dedicated machines that is just doing repairs. But I don't think it would be very easy for what do you call AGI robots to be able to handle what human technicians would do, because it's very hectic environment. Let's say like it's chaotic, and that's really not good for robots. I think it's much better suited for say like factories where it's a lot more standardized and stable. But in garage setups, like it's like humans leave the stuff everywhere, just like there's oil everywhere. It's just not right. So either you replace every human with robot, or there's just only human. I think it's really hard to maintain an environment where both human and robot can operate together. So I think
Interesting.
it's likely that maybe, I don't know, and also another thing is adoption cost, right? I know that like humanoid robot, they're claiming it to be very cheap, but once you have it, you have the infrastructure and you also need an operator. So it would be very unlikely that the repair shops will be able to afford it until it is very, very, very cheap and, it becomes sort of a standard knowledge. That's sort of how I think.
Hmm. Yeah, I would think like I would bring the robots would already be prompted to the dangers of working in car mechanics repair shops. So the oil spills, the potholes, the tools, and all of that. But it would scan the full environment at first, and then you would leave it on the charger for like probably a day so that it can play simulations in that environment to just reduce the number of mistakes. And then it would have a LiDAR, and it would probably adapt on the fly because that environment does change. But I would tend to think that this bot would actually be safer than working with a human, and especially safer for a junior, right? Like a junior human that would slip, that would fall, and that might even endanger their peers on day one. What do you think?
So I worked with a company that utilizes a lot of LiDAR, right? First of all, LiDAR is very expensive, and also it needs huge compute. So that's costly. I think that's very, very costly. You probably know, but Waymo cars and cruise car, we were at least $500,000 because of all the LiDAR setups and everything. So I'll be surprised if humanoid robot actually can be equipped with that, with the price competitive manner. Plus, it requires a lot of compute, at least at this moment. I don't know about like 10 years, right? Like, say about 5 to 10 years, I think it would be an overkill, let's put it that way, or a very expensive machine to be able to achieve that in the field. And then also, I guess, it has to have like real-time processing running all the times, because there's no way you can scan it once and it will work, because people will misplace things around. People will have another oil stain that just happened 5 seconds ago. It needs to be able to find it has to be act like a human. Humans are very good at heuristics, right? I can see that thing happen. I don't have to scan it, and then I can avoid it. But robots actually have to compute it. Okay, that is a danger, so it has to avoid it. So that's why I think it's better suited for human until that general, or make an environment that is perfect for robot. I mean, either that. I think it's not easy for just robots to just come in and do everything. It'll be very hard to do that.
Right. What's next for you as the founder of the company? Are you still raising another round, or?
I mean, we have enough money for now. I think our goal right now is to finalize our deal with the current enterprise customer that we have, and then focus on that angle. So essentially, initially what we discussed is, okay, we were selling to independent repair shops a lot, but actually we are getting a lot of interest from bigger size franchise shops, right? Because they have their lot of data. They don't know what to do with those data, and then they want us to come in and help them understand the data and like sort of give it to the people that they have in their shops. So yeah, we're sort of banking on that. It's that more and more shops will be under that franchises, and franchises are very sensitive to efficiency. So we'll be a very good fit to those shops. That's sort of hope that we have right now.
Very cool. Where can people find out more about you, CJ, and about Carvis?
Probably share it in LinkedIn, but yeah, we are still sort of under the radar, I guess, like that now that we're like doing enterprise sales. But yeah, I mean, Carvis websites is perfect, but yeah, LinkedIn, we have a Carvis page in LinkedIn, so that would be also awesome.
So that was CJ and Charles for another